Hi, this is Nick Forster. This week in eTown, we're going to revisit one of our favorite shows, and it starts right now.
From eTown Hall in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it's eTown with this week's guests from Durham, North Carolina, Viv Riley. Interview guest Lucy Wallace from Dance to Be Free. And from Nashville and the Finger Lakes region of New York, Sam Grisman Project. I'm Helen Forster. Right now, join me in welcoming our host, Nick Forster.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to eTown. Welcome to eTown Hall. We're going to have some fun. So for those of you who have ever looked back at your childhood and wondered about how that all went, or maybe you're a parent thinking about your parenting skills and styles, I want to let you know that this week we're actually going to have definitive proof of what happens when young people are surrounded by music and encouraged to play an instrument early in their lives. We know exactly how that works out. You're going to hear it pretty soon because all of our guests grew up like that. In scenes that were created by their parents or encouraged by their parents, they were surrounded by music from an early age. Viv and Riley, I met these guys a few years ago. They were in a band called the Onlys, and it was a band made up of young people who played fiddles and banjos and old-time music. They got their name because people say, oh, aren't they great? They're only 10. They're only 12. They're only 14. They're only 16. So they were called the Onlys. They're out on their own now, based in Durham, North Carolina, and put out a great record. They're well on their way, now in their 20s. So they are here. Up first, the Sam Grisman Project is something that was created by our friend Sam Grisman. And most of you know that Sam is the son of David Grisman, the legendary mandolin player, composer, creator of dog music, frequent collaborator with Jerry Garcia and many, many others. Sam grew up in that world, so he was deep in it from an early age. You know, it's not typical to have the bass player, who's not the lead singer, be the band leader and progenitor of this particular band, but he's found three other great musicians, and he's put together a band that's it's representing their traditions. It includes the music that's in their DNA, Bluegrass and Grateful Dead music and a lot of other stuff, but they're writing a bunch of great songs. They're all great singers and players, and we're really happy to have them here. So please help me welcome for their first visit to eTown, the Sam Grisman Project.
I've been through it all. Now that I'm here, I don't have no fear. I don't have no fear. We all have to come together, no matter what the situation is. But through the eyes of everyone, we share as one, we share as one. We share as one, we share as one. We share as one. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, 'cause we all made it through. Sometimes we have. Saying there, hold your head up high and never give up. Keep holding on. We share as one. We share as one. We share as one. We we share as one.
Y'all.
Sam Grisman, welcome.
Thanks for
Welcome
having
to
me,
eTown.
man.
Good to have you, man. Good to have you here. I just want to ask you about this band because they're such good guys. You found some great musicians to make music with. Tell me about just the genesis of the project.
I've always just considered myself incredibly fortunate to have such talented friends, and it's been blowing my mind constantly since I was a little kid, honestly. These three guys, Aaron Lipp from Naples, New York, and Chris English from Rochester, and Rick Robertson, who's originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, but he's up in the Finger Lakes now too. They're just incredible songwriters and seekers of great songs, and so they bring a lot of great things to the table. And Rick Robertson and I met at mandolin camp when we were 14. That's our origin story.
Yeah. Do you remember when you were a kid, just like jam sessions at the house, and any stand out when you were like really little and just like, what's going on? And that sounds cool.
Yeah, I remember my dad constantly kind of instigating my participation in high-level jam sessions that I had no business participating in. So, there's maybe some trauma associated. But I do have some rather vivid memories of some incredible musical moments happening in my living room and downstairs there in the studio. And especially when like Julian Lage came to our house for the first time, and he was maybe about 12 years old. I just remember that being so inspiring, as however young I was, probably 6 or 7 or maybe 8.
Yeah.
Just to see this young person master his instrument and to get to sit there and feel that,
That's
and that
cool.
was really maybe my first introduction to having a peer or a friend in my age group who was just a masterful musician. And then by a certain point in my mid-childhood, like middle school, I was just inundated with unbelievably talented friends, and they all came to me through my dad, and I'm just most fortunate. I've just been the bass playing kid the whole time.
Well, it's cool. Your dad is now getting close to 80, and he's still at it. He still plays every day, still makes up songs, writes stuff down, practices, plays with other people. It's inspiring.
He's the most inspiring person I know. Yeah, he's still composing and exploring and producing material from his archives.
Yeah. He's also pretty famous for being a really skilled pot smoker, like very strong pot. Like he's pretty well known for that as well, which you grew up around.
Yeah, pretty unabashed, I remember when I was real young, asking my parents if they smoked pot because I kind of put together what they were doing. And I went, Mom, does Dad smoke pot? She went, yeah, Sammy, your dad smokes pot. Do you smoke pot? I'm about 4 years old at this point. Do you smoke pot? Yeah, Sammy. Everybody who loves you smokes pot.
So we were talking about early imprinting and influences that parents have on their kids and the environments they create, and seems like it's worked out.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. I should mention that you're playing all acoustic tonight, playing into microphones, and
Yeah.
but you do also play electric sets where you're loud and proud in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, we love playing plugged in and playing acoustic music. I think the environment that I was brought up in really conditioned me to appreciate the sound of the instruments in the room. So when we do play acoustic music, I like to play on microphones.
Yeah.
As my dad likes to sort of cornily say, there ain't no plugs on me. So,
Yeah. And all I'm saying is I'm trying to encourage those listeners who are hearing you guys on the radio to notice that there's lots out there that if you go to find these guys playing in your neighborhood, you're going to hear all kinds of different things. So, but let's hear some more of this acoustic music if we can, right?
yeah, man,
Put some instruments in front of some mics right now, would you?
we will.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Welcome back, Sam Grisman Project.
To the apple, to the tree, to the flower that sprung from a seed, with the wheels of an endless train, that's where you'll be going again. To the white clouds that sway with the sea, to the rivers that washed your feet, to the sad song you sang in the rain, that's where you'll be going again. Again and again, round and around like a wheel spinning, arrive at the end, only to find it's a new beginning. To the stardust, to the moon, to a place where there's no time too soon, to a lover from a friend, that's where you'll be going again. To the new graveyard where I lay you down, to the roses that bloom from the ground, to the meadow that awakes with the day. Well, I know you'll be making your way. To the valleys, mountains and creeks, out to the west and back to the east, to the sunrise at the river's end, that's where you'll be going again. Again and again, round and around like a wheel spinning, arrive at the end, only to find it's a new beginning. to the stardust, to the moon, to a place where there's no time too soon, and to the soul on which you can depend. That's where you be going again. To the angels, to the sky, to the shelter of your lover's eyes. I don't know where, I don't know when.
Hey, that's the Sam Grisman Project. Sam Grisman, Rick Robertson on the mandolin, Chris English on percussion, and Aaron Lipp on guitars. They're going to be back, play some more music later on in the show.
Your visit to eTown is made possible in part by the Bohemian Foundation, building stronger communities through the bohemian qualities of creativity and imagination. On the web at bohemianfoundation.org. And by the way, did you know that there are over 2,000 videos on the eTown YouTube channel, and they're all for your viewing pleasure? You can also subscribe to that channel if you'd like to stay up to date with our past and latest video offerings. You're listening to eTown.
I'm Nick Forster. You're listening to eTown, the Sam Grisman Project. It's going to be back to play some more music later on. And coming up, the duo Viv and Riley are here from North Carolina. They're going to play some songs from their latest record. Before we bring them out, most of you know that we try every week to share some good news, some stories about something that is working, helping, making things better in some ways. And this week is no exception. Our next guest found a way to turn her passion for movement and dance into a pathway for healing for women in prison. From what I understand, the population of women in prison today is roughly 6 times what it was in 1980. And about a quarter of them are in prison for drug charges. It's a bigger topic, obviously, than we can cover today, but it's worth noting that we do imprison more people per capita than almost every other country on earth, with the exception of El Salvador and Turkmenistan and Cuba. But more on that another time. Our next guest is really bringing something powerful to those women in prison through the group she founded. It's called Dance to Be Free. It's a beautiful pathway to healing, and it's growing, and it's serving more people all the time since she founded it 9 years ago. So please welcome to eTown, Lucy Wallace. So welcome, Lucy. Good to see you. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is incredible what you're doing. You and Helen. Is this amazing? This is such a beautiful offering. And
Well, listen, I want to learn about this project of yours. So I'm always curious about how these things start. You know, obviously it's a good idea and, oh, that would be nice or that might help or whatever, but starting is so tough. So how did you start?
right. So it came out of thin air. I had a dance studio. I had a background in psychology. I owned Alchemy of Movement, for some people might know, and people would check into class and say, "This place keeps me out of jail." And I was just like, it's a very interesting comment. And then
No one's ever said that to me, by the way.
yeah, eTown keeps you out of jail. So I knew what my classes were doing were therapeutic. I have a very cathartic style. I don't just dance to exercise, I dance to heal. And so my ex-boyfriend at the time said, "Should you make the studio into a nonprofit?" And I was like, I know nothing about running a nonprofit. And then I ran the idea by a woman, and she was like, "What if you dance with women in prison?" That was how it came about. It's like the most small, ordinary moment that could have just flown by and never become anything. And I just thought that is the most brilliant idea I've ever heard of. I'm always a little embarrassed to say I was watching Orange is the New Black, but I saw that they had yoga. They had the women in a gym doing yoga. So I realized they have space. Like, I feel like Genji Cohen put women in prison on the map in a way. I always thought of men in prison. But then that show revealed like women are growing at 700% increase since 1980. And it's just the underlying thrust of the whole program is to help people heal from trauma. So trauma is stored in the body and you can't talk your way out of it. It's visceral, it's primal, it's nonverbal. And so to dance to music, so music is half the program, is the most easy avenue for healing. I don't have to talk, I don't have to convince, I don't have to share a message even.
Where did you start? Did you find one prison and just say, I'm going to show up with a boombox and dance around?
Imagine. So I didn't even know there's a prison in Aurora called Denver Women's Correctional Facility. I finally got a hold of the captain, and the captain said, become a volunteer. And then I had to go through a training and get a tour. That was probably the most intimidating thing I've ever done because I had no idea. I was like, do I smile? Do I make eye contact? Do I cross my arms? I was so awkward. And then when I went to Denver Women's, it was like a high school. Everyone's just wearing the same clothing. It was clean. People were friendly. And then I expanded to Pueblo, and we started doing teacher training. So we teach the women how to teach each other. So we're not just dancing in a bubble. And so it's peer-led.
And tell us a little bit about some of these women that you got to meet through this program. So, as I mentioned, about a quarter of them are in on drug charges, but there's a lot of trauma.
Right.
But you must have heard some stories as you started this program. So tell us about some of the women you encountered.
Women arrive in prison already survivors of sexual abuse, and like 94%. So they're arriving into a traumatizing environment with all of that previous trauma. And then they are in an environment that is like and boxed, and you walk in a line. So to actually move and get weird, they are so responsive. And so they share the most beautiful insights and enlightened things coming out of them, like poetry. And the big part of the program is also writing. So that's another part.
Yeah. So there is a website. Is it called dancetobefree.org?
Yeah.
Dancetobefree.org. And on that website, there's some videos and that includes some testimonials from people who've actually gone through the program and become instructors.
Yeah.
And dealt with the fact that this was more effective than years of therapy in some people's lives. So it must be very empowering for you to say that this is a simple idea, and now you're operating in more than just 2 prisons, right?
It's been 21 prisons in 12 states. And yeah.
And so the program is growing, you're reaching more women, and I understand you're also starting a program of dancing with men who are incarcerated as well.
Yes. The first men we worked with were all veterans, so you can imagine their trauma. And it was the best training I ever had. Men are actually easier to work with. Women are complex.
Not as good dancers, though, probably.
I was blown away.
Okay.
It was so sweet. They were they respected me. Like, the women will just chit-chat while I'm talking, and I get so angry. And so to have men just like... They're simple. And so basically...
Simple. Okay.
Really? Well, women, we are a little...
Yeah.
So I wanted to work more with men because I was like, this is kind of easier to choreograph with men. I was like, this is so much less drama. So it's beautiful. And I hope to work with more men, actually.
Well, listen, it's great that you're able to not only have the ability to share this experience that's so powerful with these inmates, and it is aptly named because I'm sure during the time they're dancing, they do feel free. They do feel not like they're incarcerated or not like they're traumatized.
Yeah.
But I think the idea that you're training inmates to actually help lead these classes and have this thing grow, I wish you a lot of luck. 12 states is already impressive.
Yeah.
Well, keep it up, Lucy,
Thank
and
you so much
congratulations.
for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
That's dancetobefree.org if you want to learn more. Dancetobefree.org. We are going to have more music from Sam Grisman Project later on, but right now I want to tell you about our next guests. Vivian Leva and Riley Calcagno split off from the Onlys, and they looked at a map of the United States. They decided to land on Durham, North Carolina, and once they got there, they found themselves in the midst of some pretty fertile musical territory. with folks like His Golden Messenger and Watch House and lots of others all around him. And what they did was write some songs, settle in, and record with some of their new friends in a new place to make a new record. And it's a good one. They come straight from the old-time fiddle music and banjo world, but they're really charting a new course in acoustic music, which I really love. Very happy to have them here. Please welcome for their first visit to eTown, Viv and Riley.
Hi, everybody. We're so happy to be here.
The sun is setting down across the road again. Mournful parting friend, moving on. Night falls quickly, silently insisting that what's gone is done and done is gone all wrong.
Gone all wrong. No talk about love and chains. Let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade? You and I, we pretend that the world will keep on turning and that we'll have time to spend. Why do we pretend?
A cracked white ceiling, staring disbelieving while you lie asleep. Smile on your lips, steal a kiss. Soon tomorrow we'll be having coffee just to keep ourselves from fading like the heat.
Fates to fall. Don't talk about love and chains. Let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade?
You and I, we pretend
That the world will keep on turning
and that we'll have time to spend.
Why do we pretend? Oh, don't talk about love and chains. Let's not talk about the plans we made. Why don't we just sit and watch the sunlight fade? Oh, you and I, we pretend that the world will keep on turning and that we'll have time to spend. Why do we pretend?
The sun is setting down across the road again. Mournful parting friend, moving on.
Y'all remember a few years ago when the billionaires went to space? It was at the same time, slightly ironically, that the UN climate report came out. It's called the Doomsday Report. I remember it was labeled, and it felt as such. And a third event around that time was happening, which was that we were playing live shows again after COVID. So that got me thinking about how in the future we might go play a gig up on Mars for the labor mining camps that they're setting up. I was thinking about maybe like what the deal structure in terms of financially it would look like, if it would be worth it. And so somehow this next song is about all of those things. It's called Is It All Over?
Oh boy, will my lungs give out? Will the western drought be the last of water? All but the swimming pool on the Vegas Strip by the Eiffel Tower. And when they run out of names for hurricanes, will they start over? And will the Arctic have a baseball park and a field of clover? Ooh, is it all over? Do you think they'll ship us off to the mines on Mars and make us work there? If they do, will the towns have bars and amusement stars and a Warby Parker? If there's bars in the mining towns, will bands fly up to play for the Rovers? Will it be a door deal or a guarantee, or tips and exposure? Ooh, is it all over? Ooh, is it all over? Yes, sir, I can't wait to mine for lithium in the name of crime. Yes, ma'am, if I get enough, then I'll come back and I'll make you mine. Ooh, is it all over? Ooh, is it all over?
Viv and Riley, good to hear you guys. Nice to see you again. I mentioned that we met at this camp up in the Northwest. And maybe, Riley, you could just share a little bit about Peter McCracken and this thing called Fiddle Tunes.
Fiddle Tunes has been happening for almost 50 years. It brings together fiddle music, traditional fiddle music, which when you start thinking about it, there's traditional fiddle music in almost every culture. And so Peter, who's this amazing kind of magician of the whole thing, he brings all of us together. There's big parties, there's dances, and incredible music from the tradition bearers of all these different fiddle styles, of Cape Breton music, old-time music, you know.
How old were you when you first went there?
I think I was 1 year old. I didn't stay the whole time, though.
Yeah.
And I didn't play any fiddle.
But literally your entire childhood, you've been going to this thing.
Yeah, I grew up there. I grew up like running around, and then I started taking kids' classes and soaking it all in, I guess.
Yeah. You know, we're sort of extolling the virtues of growing up around music and playing an instrument and being a part of this scene. I think it is incredibly healthy, particularly because you got to do it with your parents, be around elders and older people who were doing this thing that you actually thought was cool, instead of not just thinking that old people are not so cool. And Viv, you were a teenager when you joined the Onlys, right?
Yes, yeah. I met Riley and the rest of the Onlys at Port Townsend at this camp when we were all 18 years old. We'd all just graduated high school, and it was the summer before we went off to college. And we met each other and stayed up all night playing tunes, and then went our separate ways. But I shortly joined the band after that, and we would tour during the summers and on breaks. And yeah.
And the Onlys are still around and still doing things.
Still kicking. In fact, the four of us are the artistic directors now of that camp, Fiddle Tunes. And so it's a very full circle kind of experience.
The kids have taken over. Yeah. And am I right that you kind of picked Durham just sort of slightly randomly? You just said, well, let's go there?
Yeah, it was slightly random. We were out in Portland, Oregon. I was finishing school there, and I grew up in Lexington, Virginia, and knew I wanted to come back east because I do love living in the Southeast, but wanted to try something new. And we knew there was a great old-time scene in Durham, but also that there's really great bands writing a lot of music, new music there. So it seemed like a good place to try, and so far it's been good.
How long did it take for you to sort of feel like it was, this is our spot?
I don't know. I think just kind of it was making this record, really, which is a funny thing. We made a record with our good friend Alex Bingham, who plays in a band called His Golden Messenger, and he made us feel so welcome. And he's kind of has his hands in all these different projects in Durham, and he introduced us to folks, and it got us to feel comfortable there, I think.
Yeah. And Viv, I just want to ask you briefly about your songwriting heroes. Who have you been listening to?
Oh my gosh. My parents are both great musicians, and they played old-time music, but they also played in a duo together and wrote music that really beautifully kind of crossed genres. And they have certainly been an influence indirectly or directly in my own music making, and then countless other people.
That's cool.
That
That's
get
cool.
into.
Well, I love the fact that it all sifts in, and it's all very tangible. Like I knew that my dad went out of the house in the dark and got on a train and went to do something, but I never knew really what it was when I was a kid. So it's cool that you got to see your parents do this thing. It was very real and tangible. Well, listen, we're going to get back to music. Glad you're here. Welcome back, if you would, Viv Riley.
Let's make welcome Helen Forrester. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you all so much. And we're going to go out with the title track off our new record. It's called Imaginary People.
Imagine
Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much.
Viv Riley from Durham, North Carolina. Along with eTones, that's Christian Teal, Eric Tureen, Adam Bodine, Helen Forster singing harmony. Their new record is called Imaginary People, out on Free Dirt Records. Thank you, Viv Riley.
This portion of eTown is made possible in part by the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, or SCFD, one of the largest cultural funding mechanisms in the United States, supporting nearly 300 organizations in the greater Denver, Colorado area. You're listening to eTown.
You are still listening to eTown. I'm Nick Forster still. And I want to say hello to folks who are listening right now on stations like KRCB in Rohnert Park in Santa Rosa, California, and on WBJB in Lincroft, New Jersey. Thanks for tuning in. And on KVNF over in Paonia, Colorado. Thanks, everybody, for being a part of the eTown audience this week. As always, if you want some more information about any of the stuff that's going on, you can find lots of stuff online at etown.org, and you can also see tons of videos on our YouTube channel anytime you want. All right, as we've been talking about, our guests this week all grew up in musical world, and they're making it their careers, which is not easy to do. So this is an excellent time for you to just write down and remember who they are, look them up online, go to their shows, buy some stuff from their websites, and help them along if you can. These young people are all right. We want to help them if we can. That's, of course we do. They've been doing it all their lives. And let's remember, they're not trained for any other job. This is it for them. So help them make it if you can. All right, well, right now, would you please welcome back the Sam Grisman Project.
Well, shouldn't we keep Nick up here? not satisfied. Still you ain't satisfied. I ain't got no use for the red rocking chair. I ain't got no honey, baby. Ain't got no honey, baby. Now play, Nick.
Thanks to the great Nick Forster and Helen for hosting and picking.
Charisse was brushing her long hair gently down. It was the afternoon of carnival. As she's brushing it gently down, yeah, Reuben was playing his painted mandolin. Was inlaid with a pretty face in jade. Played the carnival parade. Charisse was dressing as pirouette in white when a fatal vision gripped her tight. Charisse, beware tonight. Oh, Reuben, tell me truly true. I feel afraid and don't know why I do. Is there another girl for you? If you could see my heart, you would know it's true. There's none, Charisse, except for you. Except for you. I'd swear to it on my very soul. If I lie, may I fall down cold. Reuben played his painted mandolin. The wind would pause to listen in, then be on its way again. Masquerade began when nightfall finally broke. Like waves against the bandstand, dancers broke to his painted mandolin. sister's pirouette in red, and her hair hung gently down. The crowd pressed round, Ruby stood as though alone. Ruben's song took on a different tone, and he played it just for her. The song that he played was the carnival parade. Each note cut a thread of Cherise's fate, cut through like a blade. Yeah, Ruben was playing his painted mandolin. Ruby froze and turned to stone, for the strings played all along. Cherise's bass from the voice of the mandolin, crying, Ruben, Ruben, tell me true. I have no one but you. And if you could see my heart, you would know it's true. There's none, Cherise, except for you. Except for you. I'd swear to it on my very soul. If I lie, may I fall down cold. Truth of love, an unsung song must tell, and the course of love must follow blind, without a look behind. Ruben walked the streets of New Orleans till dawn, with Cherise so lightly in his arms, and her hair hung gently down.
Sam Grisman Project. Sam Grisman on the bass and Rick Robertson on the mandolin and octave mandolin. Chris Hollywood English on percussion. Aaron Lip on guitars. The record is called Temple Cabin Sessions Volume 1. We've got time for one more song. We're going to do one more and get everybody out here. I want to thank all our guests. Of course, thanks to all the guys in the Sam Grisman Project for coming to eTown. Thanks to Lucy Wallace talking about dance to be free, doing the good work she's doing in prisons. Thanks to the eTones and Helen Forster. Thanks to Viv and Riley for coming out from Durham, North Carolina. We're going to do one more song. This is a song that was not only, I think it was the B-side on the Grateful Dead's first 45. It's also recorded by David Grisman and Jerry Garcia. It's an old jug band tune put out in 1929 by the Memphis Jug Band. I'm Nick Forster. Hope you can be with us next week right here in eTown.
Put your arms around me like a circle around the sun. I want to love you, mama, when my easy riders. You don't believe I love you. What a fool I've been. You don't believe I'm sinking. What a hole I'm in. Street
This is a production of eTown.